Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. April 1st. This is not a joke. This is the Major League Baseball show, kicking it off and rocking and ready to go. Games in play. We're ready. We hope you guys are ready. This is going to be a lot of fun as we kick off the regular season in Major League Baseball. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, and also with Kyle Purviance, an action-packed show, ready to go. Games in play. Let's not waste any more time. Quick thoughts here, Jason, before we get to the games. Opening day, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's opening day, and we already see snow in Detroit. So plenty of excitement, I guess. We'll get on to one of my bets I had a little bit earlier that's not planning out, but nonetheless, it's baseball season, and it's excited to be back.
It's very exciting. Kyle, welcome into the show once again. We might have to welcome you in each and every day just for the fun of it here. Major League Baseball starts today. Exciting times. Games are underway. Me, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go?
I'm so ready to go. And, hey, I'm glad Jason brought that up. Hey, okay, the first day, first little bet doesn't work out. That's because no season is equal to the last season. So that's why it's really important to manage your bankrolls properly, make smart decisions, because early on we got to see what these teams do. You never know if a pitcher loses 1 mile an hour off his fastball, he goes from a Cy Young candidate to giving up a 5.56 ERA. So that's why it's really important. You know, there's spots that we can look for, whether we could look for. Obviously, it's rearing its early head today, but being smart, being patient. This is a marathon, not a sprint. That's why we're here for 7 months, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've got the powder blue T-shirt on for the Philadelphia Phillies today, and I'm looking in the chat box here before we got on. Gabriel Katz, I really like the Cubs today. Should have gone back and erased it a little bit because it's 2-0 the Pittsburgh Pirates early. But again, it is early. We have our bankroll for the entire season. But as you see, we welcomed you in here. Now it's time to get to the fun part. And the great part about the show, starting at 2:30, a lot of things happen. We could come on here at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., or 11 a.m. You know what we would do? Spend an hour. Jason and I would have gave a fantastic breakdown of the Mets national game for 15 minutes. You would have watched the show later today and be like, why did you guys waste my 15 minutes? The later the show, the more up-to-date information. The games are in play. It's a new world. It's not 1985 anymore. We can give you the action as it goes on the field. That's what we're going to get to right now as we talk about some in-game updates. First game, interesting, snow globe atmosphere. Rewind the clocks like it's 2005. Miguel Cabrera goes deep in the snow, and a 3-0 lead here by the Detroit Tigers. Shane Bieber, I think I saw a stat here, Jason. Last year, 12 starts. In those 12 starts, 1 earned run in the first inning, gives up 2 right off the bat. Welcome to Major League Baseball, Jason.
That's it.
Yeah, so of course I took the Indians in the first 5 innings with Bieber on the mound. Bieber being the guy with the best ERA in the season last year, and Boyd having the worst ERA last year in the season for the Tigers. Now it's 3-0. Tigers are winning against the Indians in the 4th inning, and it's also snowing, and the Indians' offense just looks like baloney. So there's that. That's the first game. It is what it is. We move on. I think I lost my first bet last year in the MLB season, and went pretty well, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
Yep, tax deductions. Real quick, Jason, before we move on here, Detroit Tigers 3-0 in this game in the 4th inning. I have 3 games on my monitor, the Yankees game, the Twins game, and also the Cleveland game. If we're taking a look at some lines here, how about this? We know what the line was when the game started. How about if we would have told you opening day 4th inning, Detroit Tigers would be a minus 590 on the money line against Shane Bieber? Is there any comeback chances, Jason? We're looking to get involved. The over-under 7 plus 106.
I mean, why not take a flyer on the Indians right now? Bieber on the mound. Yeah. Probably starting to heat up a little bit.
Snow's gone, Jay, too. Snow's gone. We got some good weather now.
He's heating up now. He looks a little bit better. The Indians also had some runners on base. They didn't score, but at least they're starting to run the bases a little bit. Miguel Cabrera just had a really good defensive stop that probably resulted in not the Indians not scoring. But yeah, I mean, why not take the flyer on the Indians if you're going to be live better? But again, like Kyle said, take it slow. It's a long season. Don't go chasing already. It's only 2:30. Don't go chasing just yet.
That's right.
Well, I'm chasing already because I see the plus 2.5 runs here with FanDuel minus 118 for the Cleveland Indians. I'm going ahead with that. So I'm going to mark down my plus 2.5 minus 118, and I am going to take Cleveland in this first game to come back. Hey, you could still lose the game, right? 2.5 runs, give me 1 run, 3-1, we win, Kyle. What's up with this?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm actually on my bookie looking at plus 3.5 at minus 150. Now, minus 150 is not the juiciest number in the world, but I feel pretty good about that. I think the Indians can cover 3.5 runs. So I think it's a live betting spot, and I believe the Indians will come back, and we can redeem ourselves a little bit with the Indians today. So plus 3.5, minus 150. I'll take a stab at that.
I love it. I'm in. Another game in the fourth inning here, Jason, that we're taking a look at. The New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays had Cole on the ropes for a little bit, but could only tack on 1 run in that situation. Yankees lead 2-1 here in the fourth inning. Minus 1.5 as the live line. Minus 355 as the money line in this game. Any chance from your angle, Jason, A, that the live dog here, Toronto Blue Jays, or is the Yankees just run away with this? And also taking a look at the live over-under sitting at 7 here.
Yeah, I think we agreed that, Ryu and Cole, they're both really terrific pitchers, and the game was probably going to be a little bit more of an even matchup compared to the Blue Jays starting at, plus 160.
Yeah.
If I were to, look at this game right now, I do think the Yankees have the better bullpen. If it comes down to it with Cole and Ryu coming out of the game later, I like the Yankees to maybe finish the job here, especially at home. So I would still look at the Yankees. There's not really any value there. Obviously, it would have been a lot better if you took it pregame, but obviously this game could go either way. 2 fantastic pitchers, 2 great teams going at it. It's going to be a fun one at the end.
Kyle, in-game is fascinating to me because if you take a look and if you're just betting before the game and that's all you do, you're really missing out. Because if you're taking a look and you like value or you like to take a run line or you think the game's going to start out slow, we're looking at a FanDuel line that closed at minus 194 here in New Jersey for the Yankees game. Do you know what that money line now is? Minus 355 on the Yankees. It's 2-1. It's not 6-1. So if you like Toronto coming into this game and it's the fourth inning, you probably like Toronto even more at this point as sitting on a plus 270. Saying that, again, over under at 7 as a live total. Is there any run lines that you're looking at, which is plus 1.5, minus 106 on the Blue Jays? So if the game ended right now, you'd have a winner on the Blue Jays. Anything you're looking at live in this game or any comments early?
It's tough. I just refreshed my screen so the money line on the Yankees went from 170 on mine to minus 312. So that's a little bit less value, right? And I agree with Jason. The Yankees bullpen is better, so it looks like they can get the job done here. Looking at the 3 runs, I say if you take that minus 1.5, minus 105 is what I'm looking at for the Yankees right here. I think there's some value on that. You can always expect that lineup to maybe put something else up. So if you're looking to live bet that game, that's the side I would take. If you're a risky risk taker, and I'm not yet ready to do that with the Blue Jays, I'd love George Springer to be back before I start really believing in everything in this lineup. I do think the Blue Jays will be there at the end, but I don't know, minus 1.5. They're already up by a run. They tack on a couple other runs. Minus 105, I think I could take a stab at that live betting it right now as we stand.
There we go. Taking a look at the chat box ad. A little bit of love for that plus 2.5. Wes Curlin, Howard, it's Savino likes it. So we're going to have some fun. And certainly throughout the year, when there are day games, we can get involved in some of these games and take a look at some things. And yes, somebody is saying, what about the Buccos game, Durko? Yes, here we go. Buccos, Pittsburgh Pirates, 2-0 over the Chicago Cubs as we sit here in the bottom of the first inning. Chicago Cubs plus 100, plus 1.5, minus 180, and a live over-under of 8.5. Cold weather conditions all the way across. The Chicago Cubs, wind blowing in at Wrigley. Any thoughts here early on this Cubs-Pirates game here, Jason?
This was just a tough game all around due to the weather. And obviously, a lot of the games are going to be tough due to the weather. But this is the Cubs team that we used to watch all the time last year. We expect them, okay, go score a run at home. Go score some runs at home, for Darvish or, for Lester or whoever was pitching. And it just wouldn't happen. So here we're already seeing the Pirates up a couple of runs. And now we're going to have doubts. Are the Cubs actually going to be able to score runs here? Or is it going to be another dud performance from the Cubs, who we think they might be on a rebuilding path this season anyway? So these are games that I like to stay away from. It looked too good to be true with Hendricks on the mound versus Cole. And I know that Kyle has a better angle on this game and the pitching matchup there for the Pirates. So I think his take is probably better than mine.
There you go. Well, just as you say that, we're going to get Kyle's take on this game. Any thoughts here early on the Buccos and the Cubs? 2-0 in this game. Still very early on, but taking a look here, William Hill, minus 115 each side, even though you have that shows you what we think of the Pirates. It's minus 115 and they're down 2-0. What are you thinking here?
Right. And I think right now that's value. How often do you get a team with a 2-0 lead that gets the exact same value as the team that's down 2-0? You don't get it. So why not jump on it? I actually do think Chad Kuhl can have some success here. Jason touched on it beautifully. The Cubs, they like to lay duds. They're the dudding Cubs, and that's what they do sometimes. Chad Kuhl has had some recent success against this team. Overall, I will say the team's overall batting average, the lineup that's in play today has a 328 lifetime average against Chad Kuhl, but the weather is a big factor today. I think it keeps the runs down low. The Cubs are a team that always feel pressure in the city of Chicago. So Pirates up 2-0. Think they feel the pressure. I think I would smash that. Why not take the 2 free runs and see what happens? So I think I would smash that Pirates live betting line.
I'll tell you what you should be smashing here, those thumbs up button, even the thumbs down button. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so here for sportsbookreview.com as we go through this journey of 7 months of Major League Baseball. You don't want to miss out. And the best thing about this as well, we started on a Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Can you guys guess in the chat box each and every day, Monday through Friday, what the show time is going to be? Yes, 2:30. You're never going to have to come on and hit the @ sign at Jason or the @ sign at Kyle or myself. Hey, guys. What time is the show on today? You know what the show is. 2:30 each and every day, Monday through Friday, all the way through baseball season. I'm already excited. I mean, this is fun. I got all the monitors popping up. My guys here talking baseball with me, as well as the live chat box. We are going to build this thing over the summer and have so much fun. And also, as I always like to say, the segue to football season. The reason I do, there's 84,200 people that have hit the subscribe button. We need right around 16,000 more people to do that over the next few months. And you know what? We're absolutely going to hit that. Let's keep it moving here on the live card. So if we sort of wrap up our thoughts here and hit this last game, Minnesota Twins and the Milwaukee Brewers, any thoughts on that game early, Jason, as we take a look?
Yeah, so I have an official play on it already. It's under 4.5 in the first 5. It was at minus 143, but when you have 2 aces on the mound, you're not normally going to see under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. So even at the minus 143, I was happy to take that with 2 aces on the mound. I think you'll see in most of the other games today, a lot of them are going to be under 3.5 or under 4 in the first 5. Getting that extra 0.5 for 2 aces was enough for me. So I'm on the under there. I know we're in the second inning. There's still no runs yet, so we're doing well there and hoping that continues with that trend.
Yeah, tough game. You know, entered into the day pretty much as a coin flip between the Twins and the Brewers. Kyle, what were you looking at this game? Any options or even in game? Over/under sitting at 6.5. And the good part about this is it's a dome. This is a dome game. You're not out in 20-degree weather. We'll see if that plays into it as it goes. But no score just yet. Any thoughts here? Brewers minus 120, Twins minus 110 here live. I
think Jason and I are right on the same page. And listen, it's an important point. This is opening day. So what do most teams do? Basically, all teams do on opening day. They pitch their best pitcher. So you're going to have
aces on aces.
It's aces on aces. And look, these guys all throw it hard. So I think that under first 5 is absolutely in play. And that 6.5, that's a low number, right? That's probably something I'm staying away from. Just too much can happen late with the bullpens, but I'm still liking that under first 5. This is one of those games I'm going to sort of sit back and watch. This is one that I wanted to make a bet before the game started, and I wanted to go under just like Jason said. I think he's absolutely right. Maeda seems to have the Brewers number a bit, too, when they pitch. It's not a huge sample size, but I do think the under is in play there. If I had to pick a team to win today, I think the Brewers pull it out at home in that dome. If I'm doing a live bet and taking a money line, I think I would take the Brewers. And I wouldn't even mind if the Twins scored first to juice that number up a little bit and then take the Brewers.
That's the great thing about live betting. Sometimes you go into the game, you're like, boy, I really like, let's just say the Cubs, but I would love the Pirates to get a lead and then jump back at a more profitable price. You can get those all day long. That's the fun thing of in-game betting, which we're going to try to bring this new element to the show when there are games on. Just a quick live update here as well. Not much going on still in the Twins-Brewers game. Take a look. The Yankees do have a man on first base with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th and a runner on base with 1 out in the top of the 5th for Cleveland. Looks like a great, I mean, it's still really cold there, but clouds are gone. Sun is out. Maybe we can get some runs here from the Cleveland Indians. And I love this because, again, I'm not really sweating this game sitting with the 2.5 full game, but I see like the 5th inning and I see a runner on and like beads a sweat start of like stuff that happened in the past. Like I need that team total over 2.5 in the first 5, or I need to win a first 5 wager and a guy gets on base. Your eyes are glued. This is great stuff, bringing back a lot of good memories. And we're going to be here all summer long. Now, let's start to flip it down because you guys are going to get used to the little, rotator or the little stats here on the right side of the screen. Welcome in MLB In Game Updates. You see the next 3 to 4 games that we're going to go over. And I say 3 games because one of those actually did get canceled, but we're going to hit every single game. These are the marquee games. We'll brush over those. Then we'll go over each and every game. But one of the best concepts here that we now have is we have a clear section. We're going to give out our best bets and plays of the day. But also on top of that, you see where it says clear the bases? That's when we have a free for all in the chat box. Any questions you have? Hey, like right there, Mississippi Kid, San Francisco, Bumgarner over 4.5 Ks. Real quick, Kyle, any thoughts on Bumgarner getting 4.5 Ks? I don't know if he gets 4.5 Ks on the season, to be honest.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I like the Padres a lot today. I like that lineup today. We got that. It's one of the few games today, right, where we got that warm weather. Now, I will say this, just looking at my model, against the projected lineup of the Padres today, their lifetime average is 198. They're 26 out of 131. But this Padres team feels like a team on the rise. I think they're ready to show up today. I stack the Padres. I love Tatis. I love Machado. I don't think he gets the 4.5 Ks. I think San Diego puts up some runs today. So I'm a little against the Bumgarner 4.5 Ks today.
Yeah, and Cleveland gets the leadoff runner on and doesn't score and hits into a double play.
Oh.
So, yeah, here we go, Kyle, is exactly correct because here we go is right. Let's get them into games. The one game I wanted to start up first, and for some reason Bryce Harper appears on our thumbnail online. Don't have any idea how that actually happened, but it's just the way it is here. Let's set the table for the first game out of the gate before it starts. About 15 to 20 minutes away, 9:63, 9:64, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Going to take place in Philadelphia. I'm just right outside the city. Was very cold and windy a little bit earlier today, but the rain looks like it's cleared up a little bit. Not looking at my window right now, so I still assume that it has been cleared up. But looking at the game, 7.5 as a total as it opened up, -111. So roughly a pick 'em. Jason, we're going to start with you first here. Phillies -132 now, so catching some steam. My quick thoughts on this game: Aaron Nola is the best shot the Phillies have to win each and every time he takes the mound. The bullpen seemingly should be much, much better than a historically trash bullpen of last year. The Phillies are healthy. I like the Phillies today on opening day. Are you going against me? Which you might not be back on the show, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I like the Phillies here as well, and I would lean. It's not an official play, but I would lean the Phillies in the first 5 innings at -115.
Okay.
Nola is obviously much better strikeout pitcher. He averaged 12.1 Ks per 9 innings. Home runs were a little bit high compared to Fried, but Fried obviously walked a ton more batters last year as well. And I think he pitched better. His ERA looks a lot better than his FIP was. So I think Fried's going to struggle a little bit more this season in comparison. And Fried also, he left 82 runners on base, 82% of runners on base last year. I think that kind of goes down as well. Fried's a great pitcher, but Nola's an actual ace. Fried, more of a second type of pitcher here. He had xFIP of 4.05 compared to Nola, 2.79. So I like Nola here. If we're going matchup to matchup, pitcher to pitcher, I think Nola's the better pitcher.
No, and I do as well. So I'm trying to just bring up some statistics here to go over of exactly what I liked in this game, because we're starting on a new baseball season. What that means is we don't have a backlog through spring training of how these guys actually – I mean, you can go back and research, but it's spring training. You're trying to work on stuff. So you want to try to flip it back to how they did possibly last year, Kyle. And I'm going to start with this. The lineup that the Phillies are going to be showing today did very well versus left-handed pitching last year. If we look at the lineup, McCutchen, waiting on base average, 399. Hoskins, 500. Harper, 415. Realmuto, 466. Bohm, 371. Segura, 356. And Adam Hazley in the 8-hole, 382. Now, I'm very upset that I'm not reading you the 9th hole hitter, which actually is the pitcher. But outside of that, they've done very well. What are some thoughts here that we could take a look at with the Phillies? Live dog on the Braves, total over and under. And also, who's the hot batter in this game that we should be taking a look at?
Yeah, and we got a couple. One of my favorite, it's actually is, I think, the more I go over it, probably my second favorite play of the day. I love the Phillies over 3.5 team total, -110 at my bookie. I think you can lock and load that. And when you look at the middle of the order, specifically Bryce Harper, who's on the thumbnail, and JT Realmuto, they've had real success against Fried. Bryce Harper, 4 of 13. It's not a huge sample size, but 2 of those 4 hits, which is a 308 average, were home runs. You look at JT Realmuto has had 18 career at-bats against Max Fried. 7 of 18, 2 home runs, a triple, and a double. I think the middle of that lineup can put some runs up. I think the 3.5 is a free square. I think the Phillies get over 3.5. I think they could actually do that in the first 5 innings of this game against Fried. The real problem, I like the Phillies to win this game. Of course, we hope, the ERA of that bullpen was over 7 last year, something you just don't ever see. You hope that stabilizes a little bit. But today I like the Phillies. But my favorite bet on this game is the over 3.5. I think that team total is far too low for the success that the middle of this lineup has had against Max Fried.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes because, again, it is a little bit chilly, but that's a low number. Look at these numbers, Jason. I mean, last year we were constantly talking about trying to get team totals over 9.5 in the National League. But earlier, Kyle brought up a great point, which I always keep saying. It's aces on aces today. You're getting the fresh bullpen, the freshest pitcher you have, your best pitcher. It's just a matter of how long you want them to go in these colder conditions before your arm is actually stretched out. So Phillies and Braves, real quickly here, final thoughts on you, Jason, that you're looking at in this game.
Yeah, I like the Phillies in the first 5. If I'm going to go Fried versus Nola, I like Nola over Fried. And take that money line. Don't take that minus 0.5. Take the money line. If it's a tie game, you got your money back. It's a push. But I like the Phillies here. Nola versus Fried. I'm taking Nola.
Keep in mind also, people, a lot of things have changed from last year. We talked about the DH in the NL that's no longer there. There still is a guy that's going to be put on second base in extra innings. And why does that mean something? In a game that sits at 7, you could go 2-2 in the extras and have a legitimate shot at going over that 7, whereas maybe you didn't if they didn't put that runner on second base with no outs. Just some food for thought, something to keep in mind. Let's keep moving right down the list here. Diamondbacks and the Padres. How long are the Padres going to go this year? Well, probably it matters just as long as those Los Angeles Dodgers will go. But setting the table on this game, minus 240 we opened up at, sitting at minus 230 here. Now some outlets, 221, 230, depending on where you're shopping at. Over under 8.5. 5 years ago, if I see Bumgarner, I'm like, hey, I'm interested. Don't really care what the lineup that's going to be behind him. He's going to stand out. He was horrendous last year. Don't know what is going to change in this game, but I'm not interested in taking a number that high or even the total because I think Yu Darvish can really hold down that lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jason, I'll start with you first. Any looks that we have in this game that could maybe say, hey, maybe a team total, maybe an over and under, maybe a first 5? What do you got here?
Yeah, I love the Padres over 4.5 runs, the team total. And Kyle just touched on it as well. He's stacking the Padres and all of his DFS stuff. So the Padres are a great play. With Bumgarner, this is a guy, like Donnie alluded to, 6.48 ERA, 7.18 FIP, ground ball rate of just 32%. So the balls are in the air. He actually allowed 2.81 homers per 9 innings and also walked 2.8 batters per 9 innings without striking out 7 batters per 9 innings. So all of that just shows how bad Bumgarner was last year. And this is one of the only games that we have solid weather with. And the Padres, a young lineup, a really good lineup. Tatis has had success against Bumgarner, as well as Myers has hit a lot of home runs against him as well. So I love the Padres in this spot and think they got the job done with their offense.
And guys, if you're not following here on Twitter, one of the great things, Home Run Tracker just keeps popping up here. 437-foot blast by Teoscar Hernandez. We have a 2-2 game here sitting in the New York Yankees game. Just trying to get an updated line on that one here. Now it's 2-2. The Yankees dropped from that comfortable 350 down to minus 170. So if you're looking for a dog play, plus 140 here on the Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle, some thoughts here on the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres.
I love the Padres today. And again, I talked about there has been a lifetime of success against these projected hitters for Bumgarner, but Jason touched on it. I don't think this is the same pitcher. When you look at the middle of the lineup, it kind of sounds like a broken record. Fernando Tatis, 11 career at-bats against Madison Bumgarner. 2 home runs, a double, 3 singles. That's good for a 545 average. I like the Fernando Tatis home run props. He's been on ESPN, the magazine, everywhere Tatis has been. I think he shows up today and gets it done. And another guy right in the middle of that lineup who's had some decent success, has hit 3 career home runs off Bumgarner's Manny Machado. I think that's another guy you can line up. And I love Will Myers, too, sitting in the 5-hole. He's hit 4 home runs off Madison Bumgarner. So I agree with Jason. I like the over 4.5. I like the Padres here. I like the first 5, minus 1.5. You get a decent number on that at minus 145. So if you don't want to take the juiced up minus 230 for the whole game, just take the first game, minus 0.5, minus 145. Get yourself some home run props. I like that team total over 4.5 as well. I'm all in on the Padres today.
Got to look here as a team total. It looks low. We're playing in San Diego, which still is a pitcher's ballpark. But when I take a look here, Kyle, I'm looking at a team total 4.5 here for the San Diego Padres. And the other thing that we have is you love to shop around at different outlets because a lot of times you get pigeonholed on team totals. There are a few books out here, one being William Hill. If you have access to the online app, Jason turned me onto it last year, and it made me a ton of money because no matter what line you want, it's there. Just a matter of if you want to pay for for it. So when I look at something like that, maybe I'm not looking at William Hill right now, but if there's like an over 4 at like minus 140 or so, or 45 in that range, it seems like a great wager, Jason. Looking at the team totals in this game, any thoughts and process? And also taking a look at team totals where get the number you want, right? Hey, how about this one? I'll preface this by saying this, Jason. Hey, Jason, the number's at 5 plus 105. What do you like about that?
Yeah. Well, I was looking at William Hill for this total yesterday, and we did see the Padres at over 4 was like minus 160. So it was a no play for me, and I was just going to take the 4.5. But just know that if you do take that 4 number, then if they just score 4 runs, you get the push. Where if they just score 4 runs, you have the 4.5, you get the loss. So getting that other number, that the even number is the better number, but sometimes the juice is just too high, and it's just not worth it.
Right.
And by the way, Cole has just been pulled out of the Yankees game through 5 1/3. This is normal. Not to say he's struggling because it's 2-2 with a man on first base. But when you got a $300 million man on day one on a cold day, they're going to have quick hooks here. So good luck if you're laying these heavy, heavy favorites and in a 2-2 type situation. So now the pendulum might have swung a little bit, even though the Yankees have a really good bullpen. But you are banking on to start that game. A great start out of Garrett Cole. 2-2 here, not optimum if you took the Yankees in any form or fashion. But the joke here that I was saying with Kyle is a lot of times we'll give out plays, and let's just say it's 2:30 in the afternoon, we're doing a show. Later on in the day, it always pops up on Twitter. Jason, I can only get 5 as opposed to the 4.5. What do you think? Well, we liked it at 4.5. I mean, we don't think it's only going to get 5 runs. We'd hope it gets 7 to 8. But the numbers are there for a reason, because then you can say, hey, Jason, why not just 6.5 runs? But it's just a little inside joke that Jason and myself
and if I may,
go ahead, Kyle. Yep,
I don't mean to cut you off, but we're talking about the DFS picks, and I love Tatis and Machado, and these are expensive plays. But one thing I want to, if it's your first time, you're playing DraftKings, FanDuel, DFS, baseball DFS is very, very tough. Okay, you're gonna have guys that you pay $5,700 for that go out and go 0 for 4 and don't score a damn point. That's just how it's going to be. So trying to find that value, and not Garrett Cole's a perfect example. He was the most expensive pitcher on the early slate. He pitched 5 2/3 innings, so there's a lot more value to find there. So it's always important to catch those sort of things, and we'll be talking about that. This isn't a typical day. Normally, all the games would be starting after the show, so I could give you that sort of advice on that. But I do love the middle of that lineup for the Padres, and we're looking at the weather as well. The Dodgers are going to be chalk. Yeah. A nice pivot might be going to the Padres, who have an equally explosive lineup and an equally warm weather surrounding. I think the Padres are a nice pivot on FanDuel and DraftKings from the Dodgers.
And by the way, I am a huge weather geek, so if you see me around Twitter here, it's nothing personal that I get angry when people get the weather conditions in certain circumstances wrong. For opening day in Colorado in the Rockies, 67 degrees at first pitch, wind slightly blowing out. Not a bad day for hitting weather for those Los Angeles Dodgers, and a great way to segue in to 967, 968 Dodgers and Colorado. Marquez on the mound for the Rockies. Obviously, Clayton Kershaw, the lefty, is on the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Opened up around that 205, 210 range. Now we're seeing some outlets as high as 225 as a favorite. And baseball's back to normal. When the total opens up at an 11 in a Clayton Kershaw start, and actually goes to 11.5 at some outlets here. So feels good to be back. Another huge number that we're talking about. I'll start with you again here first, Jason. Some looks on the Dodgers, because one of the more fun teams last year when we had the DH was you got 9 batters from the Dodgers. They were rocking and rolling, no question, all the way through to the World Series. What are we looking at in this game early between the Dodgers and the Rockies?
Yeah, so the big thing is, of course, we're playing in Coors Field, and all that is great and all, but Kershaw and Marquez, they both get ground balls over 50% of the time last year. They had FIPs below 330s each, and Marquez actually pitched pretty well in Coors Field. Actually wasn't that bad of a pitcher last year at all. I think the under 11.5 is the play here. I know it's at Coors Field. I know it's the Dodgers. I get it. But if Kershaw and Marquez, 2 pitchers, they get ground balls. Both are solid pitchers. Marquez really 0.66 home runs per 9 innings. So even at playing in Colorado, you're only allowed 0.66 home runs per 9 innings as well. So if I were to choose, I would take the under. And let's not forget Kershaw. If he allows runners on base, he's so good at getting out of it. That's what makes him an ace pitcher. That's what makes him a top-tier pitcher. So I like the under here, 11.5. It's not official, but if I were to lean, I would look at the under 11.5 here for that.
I don't mind that look because you take a look at the Colorado hitters, just doesn't look the same here without Nolan Arenado. And flipping down to the Dodgers, obviously we know they come stacked, but your point is valid on Marquez being a starter. Last year, again, we're talking about an abbreviated season, but still around close to 400 batters. Weighted on base average to lefties 291, to righties 283, ISO percentage 126 and 127 respectively between lefties and righties. And that is a lot to deal with even in Coors Field. Those are exceptional numbers, and we're dealing at 11.5. Kershaw's on the mound. I do like that look. Kyle, flipping over to this game, what are you thinking on this one? And more importantly, any hot batters or maybe somebody we could take a look at here with the DFS lineup?
There is, and I'm glad this game came up. So one of the things about baseball is we always say, okay, if you got a right-handed pitcher, you want the left-handed batter because they're going to hit him better. If you got a left-handed and vice versa. Colorado actually has, specifically Charlie Blackmon, who has absolutely dominated Clayton Kershaw in his career. 18 for 63, 4 home runs, 2 triples, and a double in his career. I actually do think that Colorado is one of my favorite underdogs of the day. Everybody and their mom is going to be on the Dodgers. And for you guys playing DraftKings and FanDuel DFS, I actually like the over 4.5 for Colorado's team total today. I think it's another way to be super contrarian. I can promise you this right now. We have a 9-game main slate on DraftKings that starts after this show ends. The Dodgers will be the highest owned team on the slate, hands down. When you look at German Marquez, okay, let's just look at his last five starts against the Dodgers. Nothing less than 16 DraftKings points. He's sitting there at 6,800. A 16, a 37, a 20, a 29, and a 17. What that tells me is he's had great success against this team in both LA and Colorado, both warm weather hitting parks. I think Colorado is a sneaky underdog today, and I really like, especially Charlie Blackmon, who I think has one of the best advantages today, a left-hander on left-handed pitcher, which you're not going to see all the time, but his weighted OPS over the last 3 years is far greater against left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. And just to throw out one more thing, German Marquez's weighted OPS versus the Dodgers lineup today over the last 3 years, only a 654. The Colorado Rockies are a sneaky underdog today. I know they don't have Arenado, but I think they're a sneaky underdog today, a sneaky plus money spot, and I love the contrarian aspect of stacking them in DFS today.
Everybody coming in here saying hello in the chat box. Isaiah Moore just chimed in. I'm pretty new to Major League Baseball handicapping, always ready to learn another sport. You came to the right place, my friend, and also it's a great point to bring up as well. If you watch the show doesn't end when the show ends and say, Don, it doesn't make any sense at all. Well, there is a link below, sportspicks, sbrpicks.com/MLB. Hit that link. We have so many plays, so many picks, so many write-ups, videos to make you a better gambler here. And you know what? The only thing we ask for is just to hit that subscribe button because we are on our way to 100,000 and hit that notification bell because when we go live every day, Monday through Friday, 2:30 p.m., oh my goodness, Donnie, Jason, and Kyle are ready to go. Now, I'm trying to get some graphics made up. RightSide, Radowitz, and Purviance, that law firm you need to guide you through all these legalities in Major League Baseball. So we'll get that worked on, maybe even throw that bad boy on a T-shirt and see what happens. Now, the next game, how about this next one, right, Jason? Mets at Nationals. Woo! We're ready to break this game down. A couple aces on the mound, cold weather. Try to guess who has COVID. Don't have to because you know what? Mets ain't playing today. Mets ain't playing tomorrow. Maybe the Mets play on Saturday. Now, me and Kyle, we could probably go into an hour long about what is wrong with this situation. This is a happy day on Major League Baseball. It's not the only day on the card. We're going to skip over that one, but we were ready to do it. But the good part about this is around the MLB, we are ready to get to each and every game. So why don't we just go right in order of time and hit these games and have some thoughts and prognosis on some of these outcomes. So let's get right to it. 4:10 start, 969, 970. That is St. Louis and Cincinnati, Flaherty and Castillo on the mound. This game opened up at minus 125. Came down a little bit at most outlets, 120s, 115s here. This is another one of those games for me that was extremely tough to pick because I know coming into the season, St. Louis pretty hot commodity here. Added Nolan Arenado. We'll see if Goldschmidt can keep up his MVP-type standards. That team is really good 1 through 8 with a decent pitching staff. Coming into this game, Jason, any looks between those Cardinals and Reds today starting at 4:10?
I felt bad for Luis Castillo last year. I mean, I feel like he was one of the most unlucky pitchers in baseball. He had a 2.65 FIP, went 4-6, didn't have a winning record. He allowed just 0.64 home runs per 9 innings. Yeah, the walks were a little bit high, but the strikeouts were also high at 11.4 strikeouts per 9 innings as well. And he gets nearly 60% of ground balls. He's the most underappreciated pitcher in baseball. And I think Flaherty on the other hand, he had a 4.91 ERA, and people are labeling him as an ace, as a stud, as a great pitcher. His FIP was also 4.11, and I know that the Cardinals had an instance where COVID really kind of took them over as a group, but the reality is Castillo is a much better pitcher than Flaherty, and obviously Kyle will tell you that I'm sure a lot of people like the Cardinals because of Arenado and Goldschmidt at the top of the order. I like Castillo here in the Reds. I think the Reds have a great chance at winning this game at home against the Cardinals. So I would look at the Reds' first 5. It's like minus 118. That would be my lean for this game.
Keep in mind also in this game, folks, about 40-degree temperatures here. The wind is blowing out, but some rainy conditions that are going to factor in pretty much all day long between the Reds and the Cardinals. Starting lineups in this one: Edman, Goldschmidt, Arenado, DeYoung, O'Neill, Molina, Carlson, and Williams. Looks pretty good for the Cardinals. Still some pop in that Reds lineup, though. Winker, Castellanos, Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, Senzel, India, and Barnhart. So not a bad look from either side. Both aces per team are going today, Kyle. What are we looking at from your perspective? Any thoughts on the odds, run line, total, or maybe a perspective from one of these players that can get hot today in DFS?
I feel like Jason and I are just becoming best friends, right? He already knows me. Like, he knows me.
Let me at least stay on the show. I mean, come on.
Because I love the Reds today. Look, Luis Castillo, I completely agree with everything that Jason said. He's actually had fantastic success against this team. In his last 5 starts, only one time did he take the loss. 3 of those games over 28 DraftKings points. He's one of my favorite DFS pitchers to pay up for today. The projected lineup, or the actual lineup for St. Louis today, is 20 of 94, only a 213 average. You flip that over, this Reds lineup has actually had really good success against Flaherty. It's a smaller sample size. They're batting 311 lifetime, 19 of 61. Guys like Joey Votto and Suarez have had real success here. I think there's some value on the Reds. I like the Reds' first 5. I don't even mind doing a first 5 full time because I think the Reds win this game, and I like Luis Castillo quite a bit today for DFS.
There you go. Moving right down the list here, having fun. The show goes so fast, talking about games that we love in a sport that we have a long way to go. But look, it's 3:06. And you know what that means right now? See, it's a live show. This is when I tune in to the actual game of the day and knock these other meaningless games right off of my roster as the Philadelphia Phillies are about to get underway. But let's keep it moving down the list. Here's an interesting one. And I know, Kyle, we have a little bit of love for those Kansas City Royals. Woo. 979, 980, Texas and Kansas City. Gibson's going to be on the mound versus Keller. Opened up, check this, New Jersey FanDuel. Opens up at 172 as a favorite towards Kansas City. Drops to 152. Other outlets around that 150 range still sitting there. I wanted to go ahead today and take 2 underdogs to try to match them up and split. The one got canceled due to rain, which was Baltimore, which is getting an exorbitant amount from a very average Boston Red Sox team. But I took a look at this one. Texas stinks. The Royals lineup is much better, but brass tacks here. Who's laying that money with Kansas City? Jason, we laying it with that?
Well, you could chop it just a little bit in half if you go to the first 5.
True.
Not in half, but you know what I mean. You go look at them first 5. I think Keller, again, he was a little bit lucky last year. He had a 2.47 ERA and a 3.43 FIP. But again, you guys know I love ground ball rates. That means the ball will be on the ground and we'll get some easy ground balls. And this is the guy, he can pitch long because he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy that pitches the contact and then also gets ground balls. So when you do that, your pitcher can go long. You don't have to worry about the bullpen and all of that stuff. He was 5-3 for a Royals team that wasn't great last year. 5-3 in 9 starts. So he got more wins and losses in his 9 starts. He pitched really well. And on the other hand, you have Gibson for the Rangers. Not entirely a strikeout pitcher either. He's a high walk guy, and you expect the Royals, who have a solid lineup after all. You look down that lineup, they're a solid lineup. If they can just work the count on Gibson, get on base, and if they have some power there as well with Soler and whatnot. Gibson allowing 1.6 home runs per 9 innings last year, not very good. Yes, he does get some ground balls as well, but his FIP right on par with his ERA, 5.35 ERA, 5.39 FIP. So Gibson, you get what you get out of Gibson. Keller, maybe a little bit more lucky last year, but at the end of the day, I do love Keller in this spot, and I rode with him a lot last year, and he cashed me. So I'm going with the Royals here. First 5, it's a lean for me, but I like the Royals in this spot.
All right, liking the Royals here. Quick updates here on the live card. Detroit Tigers still with a 3-0 lead over the Indians. So I guess the Indians are the same old Indians from last year and just don't feel like hitting with Lindor or without Lindor. But also the Pittsburgh Pirates here taking a 3-1 lead over the Chicago Cubs. Kyle, talking about this Texas-Kansas City game. Me and Jason had some fun last year. I'm going to get to this in a second. But I do like the Kansas City lineup. It's sneaky. I'm going to be using them quite a bit once the weather heats up here for some team totals because I like the way it looks. But looking at Texas, Keller, not a good pitcher, wasn't a good pitcher last year, has a high number, but there's a reason for that. When we look at Major League Baseball and try to get like a weighted on base average, the average weighted on base is like 320. That's right in the middle of MLB, just doing your job, nothing more, nothing less. When I look at this lineup coming in, even the ISO numbers, which is a power metric that we like to use, 175 is like that average that we look for, right? The lineup today, Kiner Falefa, 0.081 ISO. Dahl, 0.102. Solak, 0.094. Holt, 0.037. White, 0.0. I could go down the list. This isn't even a major league roster. So maybe, yes, warranted that number for Kansas City is so high. I can't get behind Kansas City, but that lineup stinks for Texas. Kyle, what are we looking at?
Yeah, well, everything you guys just said, and including this is one of the better weather games of the day, right? And it's like 40 degrees, so that's not a good sign. Under 4.5 first 5, it just feels like a lock to me. It's one of my favorite bets of the day, under 4.5. And both of these guys, both Gibson and Keller, are very, very cheap on DraftKings. They're $5,300 and $5,900. These are the two least expensive pitchers on this main roster. So I think Gibson, if you look at Gibson's history against the lineup for the Royals tonight, they're a combined 31 of 163. That's a 190 average. If you look at Keller, they're only 1 of 8, but they have a weighted OPS of 545. So I think both pitchers get to that 5th inning. I don't think you see a ton of runs here. I love the under 4.5. That's one of my best bets of the day. Under 4.5 first 5 for Kansas City, Texas.
There you go. Wrapping around, keep going around the bases. And again, keep in mind, Kansas City is going to be on my radar a lot for some team totals once we get some numbers that are coming in. Let's keep it moving here. 987, 988. Tampa Bay lost some of their dominance in their starting pitcher with Blake Snell, but they always reload. Money doesn't matter to Tampa Bay. They just find players year after year after year. Going up against Miami, same state, almost like the little brother. Like, hey, when we grow up, we would like to be Tampa Bay, win and don't spend any money. So let's see if it actually breaks free soon. Looking at the numbers here, opened up at 160, actually opened up around 153, now sits at 150. Not a lot of line movement. Still an over-under here, opening up at 7.5 all the way across. I like Miami. They're going to be sneaky this year with their talent prospects, but also trying to be not one of those teams that are heavily bet throughout the season because nobody wants to take the Marlins. Half the people out here don't even know any of the Marlins players. But looking from Glasnow on the mound today, Jason, starting opening day today, do we have a legitimate shot at a dog here down in Miami, or is Tampa Bay just going to come out and say, better pitcher on the mound and just deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, of course you have a shot. I think I've seen a lot of, like on Twitter, I've seen a lot of tickets of Alcantara and his Cy Young futures. I've seen a lot of that. This is a guy that he struggles when guys are on base. He allowed his LOB percentage was 63.9%, not very good, which was kind of killer. Yeah, he does get 50% of ground balls, but not a big strikeout guy either. And his walks are still pretty high, even though he doesn't allow as many home runs. Glasnow, it's his time to shine. Now he's the number 1 guy for the Rays. His strikeouts obviously extremely high, 14.2 per 9 innings, which is really amazing. Yeah, the walks are going to get there, and the home runs are going to be a problem for Glasnow a bit. But does Miami really have, crazy power on there, or guys that can work the count against Glasnow? So I like the Rays here to get the job done, but I don't know if I'd pay minus 150 for him.
It's a good point that you bring up here, and I'm going to swing it over to Kyle because there's a lot of interesting moving parts here on this team. Now, the one has nothing to do with play on the field, but I was very happy to see that now Brandon Lau can stay here and Nate Lowe can move on to the Rangers. One of these, I couldn't get that straight. I knew the players, but every time they popped up, I had to check. Lau stays, Lowe goes. So at least that clears it up. And of course, the leadoff guy today, Sugio, is going to lead off for Tampa Bay. Some interesting prospects. Let's just see how Rosarania, who you could not get out at the end of the year last year. But I do like this lineup for Miami. Dickerson, Marte, Aguiar, Duvall, Anderson, Chisholm, Alfaro, and Rojas. Anything sneaky in this game? Any sides are we digging on? Because it's a high number for Tampa Bay going on the road here, and you're going to get a nice dog price of around 140 on Miami. Dig in any of those, and also what players are we looking at that might have an impact today in DFS?
Yeah, so, and you're absolutely right. That number is so juiced up. So I took the first 5 -0.5 at -110. I think Tampa Bay is in the lead. I like Glass now. He's actually one of my favorite pitchers to pay up for today. Now, you're right. I have a lot of love for the Miami Marlins, and I have even more love for Phil Collins. So thank you for doing that. That was fantastic. What an amazing
These kids
nickname.
don't know, Kyle. These kids don't know, Kyle.
No, they just don't know. I mean, the greatest musician of all time, keyboards, drums, Genesis, the videos. Come on, Phil Collins is the man. So getting some studio in here is making me very happy. But I did throw a little sprinkle on Tampa Bay, minus half a run in the first 5 at -110. That's a way to get yourself a better number, right? Because you're right. The number just starts to get inflated for the full game. So you do that first 5, you get a better number. I like that. And I do think Glass now is in a good spot. In terms of DFS, I'm not a big guy in taking some Tampa Bay hitters. If I'm looking at the guys who have the best advantages, Austin Meadows has an 88% advantage today against Alcantara. That's basically combining what Alcantara does against lefties and what Meadows does against righties. Got an 88% advantage sitting at the top of the order. So if you want to sprinkle in maybe a one-off on an Austin Meadows, could get a stolen base or 2, I don't mind that. Kevin Kiermaier also at the bottom of that order if you're looking for an advantage there. He has a nice advantage as well. For the most part for me, it was a first 5, Tampa Bay minus half a run. I got a better number on that. I do think Tampa Bay pulls it out, but my heart is always rooting for the underdog Marlins. I love the Dan Levitard show. Is one of my favorite shows. I love Stu Gatz, one of my dudes. So I'm always following the Marlins more closely than I should be, so I'm always rooting for them. But I think Tampa Bay gets it today, and I like Glass now on DraftKings as a pay-up pitcher. I think there's some big upside there.
Yeah, I can't stand the Marlins. They seem to be able to beat my Philadelphia Phillies at some ridiculous pace, so hopefully that does not continue this year. But good news for the Fighting Phils, a leadoff single by McCutchen in the bottom of the first inning, so that game is underway. Let's get to the night slate here. 3 games on the card, 981, 982. Good one here. Chicago White Sox, a lot of people high on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, if they're still called that. I'm going to call them that anyway because it was a ridiculous name change that they did have. Opening up here, roughly a pick-em here, Jason. -115s, -110s, staying in that same range. You know what? I agree with it. I think Dylan Bundy's an underrated pitcher. That lineup looks pretty good for the Angels. I'm going to take a swing here on the money line, roughly as a pick-em on the Angels. What are you thinking in this game? And are you fading the White Sox? Or are you on board saying this is the start of something special tonight?
Yeah, both these pitchers pretty much mirror each other. Yeah. They both get 40% ground balls. They both leave about 70% of runners on base. Their FIPs are around 3 each, ERAs around 3.5 each. So, Bundy pitched really well. He's basically the only guy on the Angels that they can count on in terms of their starting rotation. So he's got to come up big for them. He's got to be their ace pitcher. And other than Giolito being able to strike out more batters, he does walk more, allows more home runs. BABIP was a little bit lower, so I think that probably gets higher this year for him as well. I'm with you on the Angels. I think the Angels at -105 and around to pick them. I agree. I think the Angels have a little bit more upside here. I think a lot more people are going to be on the White Sox with Giolito because he had that no-hitter last year, and the White Sox, they're projected to be really good, and the Angels always don't do well anymore. But I like the Angels here on opening day at home against the White Sox. I think Bundy gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm going to take a swing at that money line there. Kyle, we look at this game. There's a lot of big names on both sides when you're going to be filling up DFS rosters, specifically on opening day where you're going to have good weather out in California. What are we looking at maybe from a side perspective, total perspective, or again, from that DFS angle?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like the Angels on the side. I think they win tonight. I think they pull it out. There's only one hitter when I just sort of break down all the metrics that really excites me on the White Sox side tonight, and that's Jose Abreu. 6 of 13 lifetimes, hit a home run, couple of extra base hits against Dylan Bundy. But when you look at the Angels, they've got some real success here. Even Shohei Ohtani, look, who we might get to see on Sunday, he is going to pitch and hit number 2 in the batting order, which we have never seen in the history of baseball. I think that is absolutely exciting. But I like the Angels tonight. Ohtani, 4 of 9 lifetime off Giolito. They just have more advantages, 17, 38, 16, 59, 41. You can see these advantages when you take over the last 3-year sample size. I think the Angels pull it out tonight, and I think they get over their team total as well. I know Giolito's a good pitcher. got to wonder a little bit what happens with that White Sox bullpen. I like the Angels tonight at home, and this is one of the warmer weather games. So this is a game where you could start to say, hey, 8.5. I might take the over on that entire game. I like the Angels, and I like the over. One off with Jose Abreu. And then I talked about Ohtani, Trout, etc. Obviously, you're going to make a whole lot of sense in your DFS lineups tonight.
Gotcha. And in just a few moments, we're going to go over best bets once we clear up these nightcap games here. But also, Sabino says, damn it, Donnie. My favorite night play was the White Sox money line. I'm staying away now. Do not stay away, as I preface this. In the month of April, if I win, do not congratulate me. If I lose, do not yell at me. These are just plays that we have intuition. Maybe it might happen, but trust me, get a couple weeks in and a couple starts. We are going to be laying the wood on everything across the board. So get ready for it. We're going to have some fun, give our early thoughts, because there's no stats to go off of in Major League Baseball. By far the most statistical sport that we have. Let's keep going forward. 983, 984. This is a good one. This is where you fall in love with baseball on the East Coast. The Phillies wrap up and usually lose, or at least when I was a kid, lose. You got the A's to look forward to on the West Coast. Now we're getting into some good stuff here. Houston and Oakland, the two teams, at least numbers-wise, or should I say odds-wise, supposed to win the AL West. And that's going to be Zach Greinke and Chris Bassett on the mound. Minus 114, roughly a pick 'em, staying in that same range, over-under in the 8 range. Good one out at the Oakland Coliseum tonight, Jason. Which way are we leaning towards? Because honestly, for me, I like those Oakland Athletics a little bit tonight. I do.
Well, we talked about the Reds earlier. We said how Castillo didn't get much luck. Yeah, Greinke is the same way. 4.03 ERA and a 2.8 FIP. This is a guy, the batting average of balls in play was .321. So really unlucky in balls in play and a lot of hits when the ball was hit in play against Greinke. Obviously, I think he performs better than that this year. And but then you go on to Bassett and you look at his numbers. He had a 2.29 ERA and a 3.59 FIP. So he actually was really lucky, and he pitched really well. He was able to minimize home runs. Walks were a little bit higher, but he was able to leave 86% of runners on base last year. I don't see him stating that at all. I'm sure Kyle will get into this. Laureano destroys Greinke, which will be pretty interesting as well. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. I think the Astros would be my pick for this. I think Greinke has a better season. But let's be real. I mean, he was unlucky last year, and Bassett was lucky. If that continues into this game, then the Athletics are looking really great. So it's going to be a great game. I'd probably look at the over 8.5. I think both these guys kind of get back to like the average. So over 8.5 would be my play here if I were to lean. And I would also lean the Astros, but I don't have an actual play on this one.
Yeah, taking a look at this as well, Kyle, as we move over. Decent hitting weather out there. It's usually a pitcher's ballpark. There's so much foul territory out there in Oakland, but 73 degrees at first pitch, you'll take that. You do get that marine layer on the West Coast, which through the summer we'll talk about much more, where that ball loves to die at the warning track. But looking at this game to start off here, Kyle, between Houston and Oakland, what are we looking at, and also some DFS impacts here?
I love the Oakland's team total over 3.5. I think they get there, and I think they get there relatively easily. When you just look at this team's history, and I'm glad that Jason brought up Laureano, because he doesn't just dominate Greinke. I mean, he embarrasses. We're talking 7 of 11 lifetime, 3 home. So 6 of his 7 hits and 11 at-bats have gone for extra bases, 3 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles. So it's hard to ignore that. I have a ton of room. Ramon Laureano. And actually, when you look at the A's lineup, so I'm just going to give you their 1 through 7 hitters, minus 4 and 6. They have a 63, 13, 46, 47, and 59% advantage from Piscotty to Canha to Murphy to Matt Chapman, who's also homered off Zach Greinke. I love the Oakland A's over 3.5. I want nothing to do with either pitching side. I think the over 8.5 makes a ton of sense in this ball game. Both teams should have some success here, but I'm leaning the Oakland A's. But if I'm making a bet here, which I did, I'm over 3.5 for the A's. Feels like a free square, and I love the over 8.5 total runs in this game as well.
There you go. And by the way, the Philadelphia Phillies have the bases loaded with 1 out in the bottom of the first inning, and also top of the 7th inning. Nobody on, just started the top of the 7th. Cleveland still with no runs right now. So if I'm speeding it up to get off the air because I'm going to get very angry, I might have to walk my dog if they don't score a run. You'll know the difference here with that. But let's head out to the last game before we go over some best bets and bankers, 989, 990. Now, save the best for last because I do have a best bet and banker in this game, which I'm not going to give out right now, but you will wait a few moments and we will release those out here. Kevin Gausman on the mound versus Marco Gonzalez, the lefty. San Francisco and Seattle, if we take a look at the odds, opened up around a slight favorite, -110, -115 towards the road team, San Francisco. Still hanging around that range, depending on where you shop at. Opened up at around an 8.5 over-under. Now sitting at an 8 even, Jason. Take a look at this West Coast action. Also keep in mind, the NL does not have a DH, but we're in an AL ballpark. We got 9 people there, or 9 batters. What are we looking at, Jason, in this game?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think both pitchers are pretty good. Probably overperformed last year. We'll see what happens this year. Gausman, 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. The home runs were a little bit high. Batting average of balls in play were a bit high. But, he was pretty good outside. Neither of these two pitchers really get many ground balls, so that's, I guess, the one key that will kind of hurt, especially in this kind of weather. But I still think I like the under 8.5 in this one. It's a tough call. I did see, and maybe Kyle saw this as well, Tommy La Stella has really good numbers versus Marco Gonzalez. I don't understand it because it's lefty on lefty, and Stella's not great as a lefty, and somehow, some way, he's performing. I don't understand it, but maybe that there's a play there with La Stella on maybe total bases is probably like 0.5 or something. Who knows? But I got no play on this one.
There you go. So, come on, no play on this one, and I'm going to give a best bet in the banker in just a few moments. I'm very disappointed. But Kyle, help me out here. We're out in your neck of the woods. Maybe you drive to this game. I don't know. What do you got here?
Yeah, well, I do like the Mariners over 3.5 runs. I think they get there against Gausman. Seager has had some nice success as well against Gausman, 5 of 15, a few home runs. So the middle of that lineup should get going. It is interesting. Jason brings up Tommy La Stella, and look, his weighted OPS over the last 3 years against left-handed pitching is 580. I mean, it's absolutely abysmal. But for some reason, he's 5 of 8 lifetime. No home runs, but a couple of doubles, 3 singles. It's really, really interesting. I don't know if he's not super cheap. He's like 3.1 and 2.9. Maybe if you want to one-off him on FanDuel at 2,900, I don't mind it that much. But for me, my pick is the Mariners on this one. I do like Seager. I think Ty France and Singer, you can get some nice value on Ty France on FanDuel at 2,600. He's only had a couple at bats. He did hit a double. I think this is one of those kids on the rise, has a 24% hitting advantage. I'll take the Mariners over 3.5 runs. I do think it probably goes under. I don't see the Giants scoring a lot tonight. So I do think it goes under. I'd prefer the Mariners, but the bet I'd feel most comfortable with is Mariners over 3.5 team total.
All right, spinning it all the way around. Look at that. Got through every game on the card here with a couple minutes to spare. So let's go ahead and now finally slide that ticker down, which it has been there for a while. Best bets in the Major League Baseball for us. And I'm going to go last because I'm very disappointed still that San Francisco and Seattle didn't pique Jason's interest. But hey, best bets and bankers, Jason. Let's get after it, brother. What do you have today? What's worth making some money on?
So the one bet that I still have that hasn't started yet, it's the Padres over 4.5 runs. At -116 on the team total. Look, the Padres, Yu Darvish is going to have to hit the ball, and that might hurt a little bit from that 9 spot. But also remember, there are times where we would watch where, the 8th batter gets on base and the 9th batter strikes out or doesn't do anything, where the number 9 hitter as the pitcher can do that little sack bunt, get over and get that 1-2 batter to score the run for the guy that's on second base. So think about that. When you think about team totals, pitchers stink, but there is still opportunity that the pitcher can contribute to scoring a couple more runs with a sacrifice bunt. So I guess that's the only way to be optimistic with no DH in the NL. But my only play for the day that hasn't started yet, the Padres over 4.5 runs on the team total. That's all I got.
There you go. So, look, we're going to take it low and slow early. We will open up the governor as this season goes along. I mean, really going from 0 to 60 once we get a couple weeks in here and get those numbers all the way through. Kyle, taking a look at the Major League Baseball card today. How are we making money, DFS-wise, play-wise? What do you got here? Best bet and bankers for you.
Here we go. My best bet today, I like the under 4.5 first 5 in that Texas-Kansas City game. Another one I really love that I just can't get away from is over 3.5 runs for the Oakland A's. I think they get it done against Greinke. And if I'm giving my best plus money and DFS contrarian stack, the Colorado Rockies, make sure Charlie Blackmon's in that lineup. He dominates that lineup. I think the Rockies have a real chance of upsetting the Dodgers tonight. Scared money doesn't make money. I'll take that high plus money number and sprinkle a little bit on that Rockies money line tonight against the Dodgers.
There you go. Before we open it up and take some questions out of the chat box tonight, my best bet and banker is going to come from the nightcap, which means old man Donnie's going to be staying up and hopefully not too late, and we can wrap this up relatively quickly. The San Francisco Giants tonight, I don't like them particularly on the side per se, but I do think they can get some runs here. Talking about going out in Seattle, expected to have the roof closed, but it's not really a roof out there. It's more of like a umbrella that goes over the stadium in Seattle. So at least we'll have some clear conditions. Won't have to mess around with any snow or any, rain for any of that shot. But I'm going to go with the team total here, over 3.5, minus 140 at William Hill. The reason why I like this, very sneaky team, because when I like to take a look at team totals, I like to see teams that have, that impact where you're looking at them going, I don't really think they're that good. But once you dig into the numbers and say, there's a reason why their team total is 3.5 and not 5.5, like the Yankees seemingly get day in and day out throughout Major League Baseball. If I look at the estimated starting lineup tonight, Marco Gonzalez, slop ball lefty, tries to paint the outside corners. I get that. But we're going to get a lot of right-handed batters in the San Francisco lineup, and right-handed batters last year that have done a lot of damage. If we look at an anticipated lineup, don't have exactly who's in yet. Slater's got a 471 batting average against left, or weighted on base average versus left-handed pitching. Yastrzemski, 413. Solano, 364. Longoria, 361. Flores, 394. That's just their first 5 batters to start the game. And let's welcome back Buster Posey into the lineup tonight as well, with an anticipation of him also getting the start. I think they'll do enough damage. And as we said, shop around, which Jason and I will preach all summer long at different books here. FanDuel has 4 with a little bit of juice. I paid it to 140 to get the 3.5. That is a massive difference between getting 4 runs and winning and needing 5 runs to win. We'll see how it plays out tonight, but that's my best bet and banker. Let's have some little bit of fun here now. We didn't do this last year, but now we're going to spend a little bit of time. We are rated our hour number, but it's opening day. It's a special day. We can go a little bit longer. Any questions that you guys have there out in the chat box that you've had, or you had, hey, how do you approach the Major League Baseball season? Or else, what do you think about the Phillies beating the Atlanta Braves? Now they're up 1-0. So all that stuff is pretty good here. As a show, Kyle brought the DFS angle. Jason and I continue to bet it all the way through. I like the flow of the show. We'll build this all summer long. But now's the time at the end of these shows that you wanted to stay here and say, hey, I got some questions for you guys. What do you got here for us? Now, Gabriel Katz, very disappointed with the Indians. I'm disappointed as well. I feel like I'm in a time vacuum with last year where they couldn't hit anybody anyway. So it seems like maybe that's the same thing. Ryan Johnson, Donnie seems real excited today. Can you tell? Can you tell a little bit that Major League Baseball is starting for us, guys? Yeah.
Well, hey, and also, you got that Indians plus 3.5 live betting line, so that's still alive here sitting in the 7th inning. And just to pile on what you said about the Giants against Marco Gonzalez, small sample size, but the projected lineup for the Giants tonight, 9 of 23 lifetime at 391 average. So there does seem to be some upside there in that, in a small sample size. I wouldn't run to the bank with that, of course, but it is a small sample size, but successful.
Sabino chimes in here, Jason. We'll come to you here. We have 3 9:00 Central Time games. And don't you know the world lives on Eastern Time here? So get it together over there, Sabina. White Sox versus the Angels, Astros versus the Athletics, Giants versus the Mariners, all pick'ems. If you had to go all 3 games, Jason, give me 3 winners in those.
Ooh. Yeah, so I definitely like the Angels. I think that's number 1 for me in that slate. I agree with you guys. I like the Giants as well. That would be number 2 on my slate, and then the Astros would be the 3rd if I were to pick. So the first one would definitely be the Angels.
All right, how about this one? Gabriel Katz, best World Series winner bets. I took 2 of them as a futures wager, which we did on the Future Show. Nationals at 30-1, and also the Dodgers plus 350. Jason, I'll start with you first. Any World Series winning bets that you want to put out there or talk about again from the show we actually had just a few days ago?
Yeah, well, on that show, I did talk about the Indians and how I thought they were going to be a great team this year. So maybe don't take my advice right now. But, of course, you have the big guns, in the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees. All those teams have a great shot at doing it. I did like the Indians to do some damage. It's still early, so I'm gonna still say the Indians, but don't hate me if they continue not to struggle offensively.
Long shot, Kyle. What are you going to say? The Giants? Come on. What are we doing out there?
The Giant. My long shot. There's 25-1. I don't mind the Blue Jays at 25-1. I think they have a good enough lineup and added some pieces. I think that's a solid bet at 25-1. And I think your Phillies, I believe, or the A's, were Phillies and A's. I think they're both at 33-1. look, if the A's can get that pitching, if Bassett can continue to progress as a young pitcher and they can replace some of the power they lost with Chris Davis, I think the A's make a lot of sense. And your Phillies as well. If that bullpen fixes itself, we're talking about a team who is 5th in runs and 7th in home runs. They have a lineup that can just torch people. If that bullpen can hold it together, I think the Phillies can make some noise in the National League.
And by the way, talking about making some noise here, I don't know if it's a juice baseball, non-juice baseball, or the wind knocking it down. A really good rip here in Philadelphia. It looked like that ball was going to go a ways. Dies at the warning track, so the Phillies still hold a 1-0 lead with the Atlanta Braves. Top of the second inning, 2 outs here. And Vixit loves it. World Series winner pick, a fave and a dog. Yes, please. Thank you for that comment there in the chat box. Can you trust Jack Flaherty on the road, Kyle?
No,
do you trust him?
I like Luis Castillo a lot more. That Reds lineup has a whole lot more success. I think Castillo jumps out and gets that win over St. Louis. That's another pick I really like today. I like the Reds.
Kyle, trust? Jason, any trust or no?
No, I'm with Kyle. I'm a big fan of Castillo, and I think he absolutely outperforms Jack Flaherty in this one.
And Ryan Johnson said, who did the Athletics sign in the offseason? I mean, that's, I guess you could say Simeon was lost. Andrews was brought in. Any other adjustments that I'm really missing from the Athletics on that one?
I'm going to pull it up. I got a little spreadsheet for that, and I'll pull it up.
I don't know if he's just busting stones or not with that question.
Yeah, he's just trying to make me look old. My memory doesn't work like it used to. That's not fair, but I will eventually.
While you're looking that up, here's always an interesting one. Vitalis brings it up. Baltimore Orioles win total, 64.5. Your thoughts? Whenever I see something in the low 60s, how do you go under? Like, it's historic to lose, to not win, somewhere around 60 games. So if things break right for the Orioles, I guess, but they still stink. What do you think, Jason? 64.5. I mean, I would lean over because, again, it's historic to win only 60 games in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Like, I wouldn't want to bet on the Orioles either direction. I would just look away. But yeah, I mean, look, they have a chance. It is also the AL East that they're in, and we're looking at this game right now between the Yankees and the Blue Jays. We're seeing they obviously showing up some good pitching, and obviously their bats are insane. And we'll see how the Red Sox do. I think they'll be better this year as well. And obviously the Rays, I think, will be just fine. So yeah, it's tough to take it over on the Orioles, but also yeah, the number it's kind of low in the first place. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. I would just stay away.
James Lill, go ahead, Kyle. What do you got?
I got your answers for the A's. So Mitch Moreland, which he's going to have a hard time finding time on the field, but it does add some power if they have some injuries. But of course, new at shortstop, leading off, Elvis Andrus. That's a big addition. And Jed Lowry should get a lot of time at second base at the top of that lineup as well. So I guess those would be the two bigger ones. Trevor Rosenthal in the bullpen is another guy that you can consider a decent acquisition for the A's. So that's where I would go with that.
Quick question here. Akbar says, Royals team total over 4.5 looks good with a question mark. Not great weather conditions out here. 50 degrees, but the wind is blowing in a little bit. I like that hot, Kansas City, Missouri sun where the ball travels by midsummer. Tough. It means you have to get 5. Can they get 5? I think we can all agree they can get 5. Don't love it there. Any ideas, Jason, on that one there to help Akbar out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Kyle Gibson. He allows a ton of home runs, and there is some slugging in that Royals lineup. So it's definitely possible. Obviously, like you said, the weather could kill the ball a little bit, as we saw a couple warning track balls in the Phillies game and now just the Yankee game with Jay Bruce. So that could kill it a little bit. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree that they should. But I mean, yeah, it'll be a tough one for sure.
2 postponements today, by the way, that we didn't get to. Baltimore and Boston, the New York Mets and Washington Nationals. Not going to have any definitive answers on the Nationals if they're going to play for the next couple of days versus the Mets. I know, Jay, it's horrible. Like, your team is the one that has to sit out because of another team. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's where we're at in Major League Baseball. Also, Baltimore and Boston, they're going to resume tomorrow, I assume, with a day game again. Wasn't scheduled to be any day games on Friday, but it looks like that might be one that we'll be able to hit in game for tomorrow. So that's going to do it for the first show of the season. What do we got? Like 100 more plus to do. A lot of fun here that's going to be taking place in the timeline. Hope you guys got used to the sections, the flows of the show. We're going to hit the big games. We're going to hit every game on the card. Open up the chat box, separate section for best bets and bankers. Very easy to find if you're watching on replay. If you are watching on replay and not live, hit that thumbs up button. Even hit the thumbs down button if you don't like the plays we give out. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button as we power our way through Major League Baseball season right here at sportsbookreview.com. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, also with Kyle Purviance. We're sportsbookreview.com. We're Major League Baseball, and we got you covered. Good luck on those wagers.